Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the Relationship School's Smart Couple Podcast. I'm your host, Jayson Gaddis, and I like to grow. How about you? It's where it's at, folks. Yeah. There's so much richness in life if you're willing to learn and grow. And your relationship is such a wonderful place to do that. Your past relationships, your future relationships, your current relationships. And this podcast is about the intimate one, the love relationship, and how to do that well over many years. Okay? All right. Thanks, everybody, for buying my book, The Smart Couple Quote Book. It's doing really well. We're a bestseller in like 6 different categories on Amazon. There was one the other day that I saw. I was beating out Brene Brown's new book. Come on, guys. And Esther Perel's book on affairs. What's up with that? That must mean you're liking it. You're buying it. You got the Kindle copy, you got the Audible copy, or you got the print copy. And either way, thank you so much for the support. It's a lot of fun. And what I keep hearing from people on Facebook or Instagram or just a private email is that it's serving you because of its simplicity and its ease of digestibility. You could pick it up in the morning or right before you go to bed and in a couple of minutes have a really awesome experience or feel really challenged in a good way. Okay, so thank you. And in that vein, we're giving away 3 books to listeners like you. We had a contest, and not only do these 3 people get books, but they're getting, the first prize is getting private coaching session with me. That's worth a lot of money, folks. The second prize is getting a gift certificate to any class that I teach. I think it's $200 off any product that I have, okay, relationship course. And then third place gets $30 off our merchandise store. So a hat, a shirt, a tank, whatever. You can rock the love vibe that I do often and wear our gear. Okay, so we're having a lot of fun with the store and we'd love you to go check it out. It's on the new website, relationshipschool.net. So let me announce our winners and then we'll get right into this episode. In third place from Facebook, her entry was from Facebook, Lisa Kukla. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Lisa. So Lisa's getting hooked up in the store. Second place from Instagram is Denise Bowman. What up, Denise? From Instagram. Thanks, Denise. Denise gets $200 off any product in our product store. Okay. Nice going, Denise. Thanks for playing and thanks for following us on Instagram. And then first place goes to Betsy Woods from Instagram. Nice, Betsy. You and I are going to get into it. Okay? You've got a coaching session with me and we are going deep. So be prepared. Get your seatbelt, a glass of water, and be prepared to get some feedback that you have probably never received before. And it's going to improve your relationship life. All right? So I'm psyched to connect with you. And again, thanks everybody for playing. Thanks for following us on Instagram, The Relationship School, or me, Jayson Gaddis, and for liking our page, sharing it on Facebook. And that's how we get more reach, right? Just some organic traffic from you guys. And then also for the few that have been leaving reviews on Amazon, thanks so much. It goes a long way. We've just got a few. We could use more. Please leave us a review if you feel inspired. It really helps us in the Amazon world. Okay. All right. Thank you. And let's get into this episode. So this is part of our experiment to check in with couples, real couples going through real challenges who've gotten through some difficult material and still are on the path and growing and learning and wanting some more help. So in this interview, I meet with Noah and Leahnora. Leahnora's a student in the relationship school and also an apprentice training to be a relationship coach. Noah is her partner who first found out about me, actually, and then introduced my work to Leahnora. So Noah's been sort of a background student, I guess, for a while, although hasn't directly signed up for the school yet, right, Noah? But maybe one day. And also has studied, these two have done a lot of personal growth work, and I asked them about that because I'm always curious, well, what's working? What worked? How did you guys get through cheating? Okay, so we get into their first couple of years where there was some cheating, and what the hell? How did that go down, and how did they get through it? Why did the relationship not end? What tools did they employ? What helped them get to the other side where they eventually got married just this last summer? Okay, this is obviously a smart couple who is trying their best to make their relationship work, and they're taking it seriously. They're putting in the work, lifting some relational weights, if you will. So I'm not going to say much more about the episode. It's really engaging. I think you're going to dig this. Notice which parts of their story you connect with, what resonates, who you connect with out of the two of them, and why. And then see if you can take some notes on what worked for them and bring it into your own relationship, okay, or future relationship. And then, of course, at the end, as always, we'll cover an action step. All right? Okay, guys, let's get right into it with Leahnora and Noah. What's up? What do you guys, what's working and what's not working? How long you guys been, a little backstory, how long you been together, etc.
You want to do the honors?
Yeah, well, we've been together 5 years. We just got married this past summer. Things are better than ever. And at the same time, because they're so good, it's bringing up stuff that we've kind of been ignoring our whole lives. One of our biggest issues is around sex and the amount, the quality, the effortlessness, the natural tendency for me is to more, I don't want it as much, and you want it more. And I don't know why. And I feel frustrated and I feel helpless because I want to be giving it more, and I just feel like I can't. I get disappointed in myself for not being able to meet those needs in a way that feels natural. And then I feel at the same time I can betray myself if I just do it out of obligation and duty.
Yeah.
But we've come a long way. We really overcame a lot of struggles. I was cheating a lot in the beginning, and then we did.
How long have you guys been together?
Just over 5 years, like 5.5.
Okay. And when you say cheating a lot, meaning early on in the relationship, like when?
The first 2 years was pretty much the whole time. I had some ongoing side relationships going on that were physical and emotional.
Okay. And what happened for you in those first few years? Why did you choose to stick around, Noah, if this woman was cheating on you and stuff?
I think a lot of it had to do with multiple things. My own insecurities and kind of attachment stuff, kept me in the relationship. And then I think I also had a sense that the deep work that I longed for was in at least staying present to the relationship and following the thread of it. And we broke up many times. So, I would find she cheated and I would have to kind of go through a process, and in several occasions I ended things, but did my best to keep my heart open. And in that process, the current moved us back into kind of another iteration of the relationship. And I found each time we went through that, I seemed to have more trust in myself, and also new territory would open up between us and more love would flow. So, and more shit too. So it was just the first couple of years were I think there's some similarities and many differences in what you shared about you and your wife's story.
Yeah.
Just about the intensity early on.
Mm-hmm.
And I had actually come across your work a couple of years ago and was really moved by it and shared it with Leahnora. And that's kind of how I think she initially got connected with what you do and has obviously gone much deeper. But we, man, were just in this world that I had no reference point for. And I mean, it had elements of my parents' dysfunction, but there was also a lot of love and openness. And it almost felt like this kind of divine guidance stewarding us through these just really difficult challenges, but also showing us the opportunities in them. And so I think that for me, was where I just did my best to stay with my heart and kind of that heart wisdom of what was really needed and how to stay present and authentic to myself and to her. And so that's what kept me in, even though it was, really embarrassing and painful. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Aside from like just the man shame of like my woman's out with other men, I think there was the sense of like, man, this like breaks my heart, and it was scary and in some ways reflected patterns in my family that I had some awareness of, but gave me the ability to go back in a way and clean up, wounding that was longing for attention that I was beginning to open to and become aware of. So like the relationship was just this perfect kind of hologram or opportunity for that. And so yeah, it's been a wild ride. And like Leahnora said, I mean, there's new challenges and nuances and stuff we're exploring together. But I feel like there's this real strong base, partially probably because of our marriage commitment. And then also just on a kind of a somatic, energetic level, I think we've both done a lot of work in staying with this thread of our, authenticity to where I feel like there's just a kind of a deep trust or a much deeper trust in each other and in life and in staying with the process.
Yeah, that's powerful. And so I have so many questions.
And sorry if I went on a rant there.
No, I'll interrupt you if it's too much of a rant. It feels good to kind of get you a little bit here. Backing up just a little bit, kind of way out, you guys clearly have done some work on yourselves. So will you just, for the listener, or anyone listening, you're not new to personal growth. Is that right?
Right.
Right. So just give us a sense of some of the things you both have done in your past that have helped you be ready for this type of relationship and be able to stay with the kind of hot fire of cheating and dealing with your own stuff. And like, what have you done kind of leading up to this? Have you done a lot of therapy? Have you done a lot of coaching in your life, meditation, yoga? Like what's your, just a couple, I don't need the like play by play, but like just a quick bullet point list of some personal growth tools you've used.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, I saw a therapist, a talk therapist. I saw a hypnotherapist. I started doing body work, like role-playing. I saw a coach, like a spiritual type coach. And I started doing yoga, meditation, went to a few meditation type retreats, started, Reggie Ray's work was actually the kind of guy that led me back into the body type work when it was less just, the therapy was more of this talking kind of processing, but to actually be in my body, I started doing that. And recently I've been seeing this trauma specialist, and it's kind of like TRE that
you like let your body shake and just do what it wants to do. And
yeah, cool.
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. When we met, I was pretty deep in like kind of more a modern monastic way of life, and thought I was really like spiritual. And I think I had, been doing a lot of meditation work, and then when we met, it brought in, and I had done therapy before that, but when we met and the relationship started, it really started to open some deeper stuff. And I got a lot of therapy from, embodied therapists that I felt really got that it's a lot of this stuff lives in the body and needs to be kind of processed. And then, I continue to, do meditative practices, just kind of trust the intuition of what resources feel like they're called. But I mean, that's
you've done everything though. You've done like water therapy, MDMA therapy.
I've tried a lot of the medicine work. I really have exhausted the list in many ways, but I also think that there was, in my particular case, like that those things were needed. I needed different specialists to kind of help me learn to be present with myself.
Yeah, and you have 2 coaches right now, right?
Yeah, I have two coaches currently, and they kind of working on different threads that they're helping me support in my life. And so it's, yeah, that's kind of the list on my end.
Yeah, sweet. That's helpful. And then relationship school. Has this, you guys, obviously, Leahnora, you're in that. Will you guys just say something about, has that impacted you guys in some way?
Well, big time. For me, the issue I've had is actually projecting what I'm thinking into words that can land for him. It's been this communication barrier between us because we get what we're trying to say, but the way I've said it doesn't land. And then our listening skills. So we're now, even you're using the tools. I've taught him some of the tools. So we use them in conversation. We say, when you say this, I'm feeling this. Mm-hmm. Or we say, I'm projecting that you're feeling this, which is nice because then it's not so blamey or assumptive. So right now our communication is really strong, and a lot of that's because of the relationship school, just having that kind of framework to work with that I didn't have before.
Okay.
Yeah, I've witnessed a lot of change in Leahnora, and I think that's rubbed off on me, like some of the practical tools like she's talking about that she's learning with your school, and then just in a way of seeing her own process flower through the support of the group and the practices. I'm definitely seeing changes both in how our relationship goes, and then it helps me to change because she's showing up with a different level of sovereignty and authenticity and self-awareness. And so it's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you, Jayson.
It's that
yeah, sure, man.
it's like taking that 100% responsibility piece that has been kind of the driving change. It's no longer me blaming him or him blaming me. There's more ownership, which feels really good.
Yeah. Cool. This is great. Let me back up another step. I sort of do my interviews backwards sometimes. What got you guys into personal growth? You know, I always like to just get a quick taste of, you know, like why, because there's plenty of people out there like you, a couple married, and they never meditate. They never go to therapy, and they're resistant, and they maybe don't have a great relationship. Maybe there was cheating and they don't know what to do. Like, how did you guys first get work through your own conditioning or messaging? Because therapy can be, you know, for weak people or people with problems. So how did you guys get on the path, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, for me, it was, 100 failed relationships and turning 30 and realizing, wow, I'm not getting it. And I didn't want to lose you. And that was my main motivator at first, was I wanted to be in a relationship with you. And I knew that if I didn't change, then it wasn't going to work. But,
and are you saying, Leahnora, are you saying that before meeting him, you had never done any personal growth work?
No.
Wow. Okay.
She's been intense to watch. Like, it's just been this, like, I mean, I would say, you know, it's been maybe 10 years consciously really getting support and kind of shifting to a different way of living.
For you, you mean?
That I've been, been, you know, kind of exploring that. And she, when we met, was just this bull in a china shop, like, but very present still. Like, I could see in her that she was connected to what I value and love the most in just life, you know, that kind of the light and the radiance. But she just had a lot of protections, and I did too, that I didn't realize at the time. And so I think watching her, she's really committed a tremendous amount of her priorities and her energy to, you know, going through I think a really accelerated clean up, grow up kind of maturation process since I've known her. And you know, it's been one of the biggest gifts in my life to witness her flower and to be supportive of it and to receive the gifts that have come from her as a result of it.
Yeah, of course. And how did you get on the personal growth path 10 years ago or so?
So I had kind of like an obsession with success. Like, I wanted to be just this crazy, like, business, like, successful business guy. But I had an interest in, like, the Jack Canfields of the world and, you know, The Secret and all that movement. And so I really went for it. And I, at the time, was with a different woman that I was with for many years, and was in a business with her dad, and kind of invested my whole life in that. Moved from where I lived in my community to be up with her family. And then something in me at a certain point in that relationship and in that work I was in, the job, everything, it just couldn't do it. And I left that, situation, and the relationship ended up ending amicable, which was cool. It felt really good how we ended up splitting, but all during that process, something just really opened and shifted, and, had some experiences and just things that made it very difficult for me to deny this kind of, inner world or another way of relating to life. And I think that thread became really stronger and stronger the more I fed it. And so in a way it was kind of a lot of suffering or, disappointment that kind of opened the door. And then once I tasted the fountain, it was like, man, I got to follow this stream because it's just too alive. And since then I've done my best to kind of ride my way down the river.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Very cool. I always am curious how people enter the path. So that's helpful from both of your angles. And I think the listener, it's just a way we all step on it in some way, and often it's pain or some kind of longing.
Mm-hmm.
So just curious. All right. And then
it's like a part of my life, I feel like this is what I want. It's not something that I was doing to get something. A shift has actually changed inside of me. That it feels really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So fast forwarding back to where we were, back to your relationship. Leahnora, you were sharing something I interrupted you about sort of just a few years ago, it sounds like, in your relationship with Noah. Do you want to pick up there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so when I decided to stop cheating, I just went cold turkey and just cut off any contact with men in general, even friendships. I just couldn't have any kind of door open.
Did he ask you to do that, or you did that on your own?
I did that on my own.
Okay.
I think it was both and, because I basically said, I need you to be honest.
Yeah.
Like we need to be able to have trust. Like if you're cheating, it's the biggest piece. Part of it was the other men. Like obviously that was hard to like ping in my insecurities and things. And, but the trust piece was the biggest one that I struggled with. It's like, she was kind of had this secret little world, and it was like, it was hard. I mean, I realize now that I wasn't able to trust myself at the time, but
well, I couldn't be honest with him and be cheating. And then, so that was kind of the situation for me. Was if I was going to be cheating, I'd have to be honest, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah. So you said cold turkey, I'm stopping.
Yeah, because I couldn't, I knew I couldn't lie anymore if I wanted to be with him. And so it was very hard. It was like a death to me.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I was getting a need met there. I was getting something that I was fulfilling me in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I went pretty depressed for a while. And that's when I kind of started accelerating into the personal growth path, because I started getting more of that need met through that. And then our relationship started to transform as well. I started to come to him for some of the things I was going to the other men for. I started to share.
Like what?
Safety. I felt like there's something unsafe about being really intimate with someone that I love that can hurt me. And with guys that I didn't love in that way. Like I could be myself because I wasn't afraid to lose them.
Yeah, it was like low risk or something.
Yeah, low risk.
This was high risk, right? Higher risk.
This was higher risk because I knew I wanted it. I just didn't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't drop my defenses, and I still have some of those defenses, and it pains me to have them. Like I want to be fully open, and there's still that little part of me that wants.
Do you think that's possible to be fully open all the time?
It seems like a pretty tall order, but I think it feels good to be open.
Yeah, it feels a little better, right, than to be closed. Yeah, that's my light challenge to you, Leahnora, is to me that's a fantasy. I can be open all the time.
That's helpful.
Not
Yeah, I
life,
think
it's nature of life. Open, close, open, close.
yeah, I think what I want is to stop judging myself for having parts that want to feel closed.
Yeah. I mean, when you get scared by him, your defenses go up, whether your fear is rational or not, right? And that's an intelligent, as we've talked about, that's an intelligent part of your body, is to be able to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the work is like discernment. Wait, is he threatening? Is there anything threatening going on here? Because our body sometimes perceives a threat that's not really there. But I would never want you to turn off your defensive pattern in your body, personally. I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
That's a nice way to look at it.
Yeah. And I hear you that you want a little more choice and room there.
More choice. Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Yeah, cool. Okay. If I'm the listener, I want to back up again to, I think the people are going to be wanting to know, how did you guys really get through that? Cheating is a big deal. And when there's an affair or cheating, that can really obviously ruin a relationship. And you guys stuck it out. What would you say some of the key ingredients were that had you get through that? Whether it was therapy, coaching, meditation, you guys talked really well and somehow you healed it. Like there's no charge there when either of you think about it, or yeah, there's still a little bit of that's contributed to the lack of trust and safety. So give us a sense of where you're at with it now, and what did you do to get there? Like just a couple practical things for both of you.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it was really learning to trust myself, and that required a lot of therapy, a lot of friendships where I could open up to other people and kind of get guidance and feedback from them. And in doing so, staying really true to, I mean, for me, like it kind of comes, I'm a high valuer on love. And one of my favorite flavors of that is to, love Leahnora. And I think that was, following that thread and really doing my best to stay connected to it and its guidance, and also learn the mistakes or work through the things. And that's where a lot of the challenges and breakthroughs came through, I think, in that process.
Well, I think it's important to mention that you also wanted to open up the relationship for a while, and you could date other people and explore your side of wanting
Totally
and desire.
And did you guys do that?
Yeah.
How long did you guys open it up for?
Well, I feel like we ended it, and but it was strange because I was very much in love with her and had the intention and kind of the intuition that I wanted to marry her. But I also had the sense that if I didn't explore some of my curiosity and kind of sexuality, that I wouldn't be able to like wholeheartly commit to her from an aligned place. And so like 3 months, we didn't have necessarily a definitive timetable, I don't think. But it was a 3-month period. And and I think it was, in a way, a lot of the things that she kind of acted out, I think I had repressed in my system. And I just needed to know that I had the space to be true to myself and kind of follow that process. And it became clear as I did that I wanted to deepen with her. And that was, I needed that clarity in order to especially take the next step of like committing to marrying or wanting to ask her to marry me. And
yeah, that's a big deal. Did you actually date other women?
It's funny. I went on a binge of like the dating apps and everything. And, did some back and forth like on those. I tend to be, so I didn't really go for it as much as I had envisioned that I would.
Yeah.
But I think the process of just kind of taking the doors off or the gate off and being like, I'm free to, and then seeing what happened. I ended up actually being intimate with another woman. And it was a challenging situation for our relationship, but it was also, and I feel like I did my best to be like aligned with her around it. And I was explicit that I may need to do that, and so that was, part of part of our journey.
Yeah, and it sounds like it helped you doing that, and opening the gate for this experience allowed you to get clear that you want to actually be with Leahnora. You actually don't want to be the guy dating around and starting over again and all that. Is that right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it was hard and it came with some probably difficult conversations, it sounds like that was what you needed to do to get the clarity to marry her.
Totally.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, not everybody's obviously going to take that path, but that's certainly one path that was important for you to be able to step into a more committed relationship. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And if I get you right, it also wasn't coming from, oh, I'm going to go fuck someone because as a way to get back at you, and like haha or revenge. It was more, if I understand you right, it was more, I actually have had this sort of longing in my heart or sexuality. I need to go explore something. Or was it a little bit of both, or what for you?
Well, it's interesting because after I think I was done cheating for like at least a year maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when he wanted to open it up. So
A year later after the,
a year later after it,
Okay.
and it didn't feel like it was a revenge. It was more, to me, it felt like a natural desires for him. And to me, I don't think I could have committed without knowing that he explored that, because I couldn't feel safe knowing that he had thinking the grass was greener, which was his belief for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of guys have that one. I did. Yep. Hey, here's a quick message from our sponsor, the Relationship School. As you know, we teach a 9-month training, and we're enrolling now. And this training is going to teach you how to have the best relationship of your adult life in 2018 and beyond. It's creating a safe, sexy, and very successful relationship. In order to do that, you got to put in the work. There's no way to get it, guys, if you don't earn your way there by putting in effort. So if you want to go for it and you're feeling like you want to make next year the big year where you're going to commit to this, then join other brave-hearted warriors. Here's a guy who's halfway through. Check out what he said.
My name is Dave Byrne. I'm a student in Jason's 2017 Deeper class. I chose to enroll because its philosophy shares an important belief in my life that the fundamental factor in determining one's life satisfaction is the quality of their relationships. One of the more impactful lessons I've learned so far is taking 100% personal responsibility for whatever happens within the context of my relationships. Learning exactly what that means and exactly what that doesn't mean, along with using other powerful tools from the class, has helped my relationships feel less confusing and more fulfilling. I now see that even when I blame or criticize others, when I feel victimized, or simply when I feel irritated with others, really has much more to do with what's going on inside of me than with anything else. It's a long, humbling process doing the work on myself, and of course it's not easy, but so far it's been liberating and empowering. I recommend Deeper to anyone who genuinely wants to improve the quality of their relationships. I think it's especially useful if one is struggling too much with the level of dysfunction in their relationships and simply doesn't understand where that dysfunction comes from or how to constructively navigate it. Thanks, Jason.
Boom. Okay, Dave is growing like a weed and putting in the work, right? So he's getting a result. Powerful stuff. Relationshipschool.net/deeper is what Dave said. DPIR. Okay, that's an acronym. Stands for Deep Psychology of Intimate Relationships. So come hang out with us. It's a blast. It's intense. It's confronting and liberating. So I hope you join us. Back to the episode with Leahnora and Noah. And then how did you both work through any shame or guilt or just rage or hurt?
Well, we actually we've done we did see a couples therapist right after, and I had to hold a lot of that for a while, and it was really hard for me. I think I needed more support at the time than I actually knew. Yeah, do you want to add to that?
I mean, we've done it in quote unquote healthy ways, like Leahnora is saying. Like, we went and saw a guy that did some it's like emotionally focused therapy, facilitated, or like he kind of walked us through a process to actually be able to actually hear each other, because I think we would just loop around, like, especially after some of her cheating things. There was a particular guy that it wasn't just feel like she got a little more emotionally involved with this man, and I would just loop out, and so having someone to kind of walk us through a process to hear each other, I think cracked open some new doors for us and some space. Yeah. And then I think we also had some not so healthy, never physical or anything like that, but like some gnarly like fights and just kind of shadow shit, getting thrown at each other. And
what does that look like? What, giving us an example of like a gnarly fight.
Well, I fought the Christmas tree. I started punching the Christmas tree and my fingers got bloody, and I dumped a bag of chips over his head.
Yeah.
Okay.
She tends to have it's kind of like the steam, the pot on it just blows off.
Pops, yeah.
So she's gnarly like that. Like just a couple of weeks ago, she like bit me on the shoulder, the steam popped off and like, here she comes. And for me, it's kind of scary, but it's also kind of like sexy or like enlivening. So then I laugh at her and then it pisses her off even more. But yeah, I think I would lose it too in terms of getting really angry. There's times where I remember like just feeling so much anger in my body and having repressed that for so long that like I just stood in front of her and just like, just like the Hulk, like just fucking like I'm gonna go crazy. I'm popping with so much anger. Yeah. And I feel like remember that situation sticks with me. It really stays with me because she just stayed so present. She was just right there with me, and it like moved through my system. And then that helped me learn a pattern that like I would, in that instance, I released the anger, and then I fell down next to her and I just started crying, and I can even feel emotional as I share it. Like all this grief came up, and then like that moved through my system, and then she just held me, and then my system settled, and it was like my best interpretation is like some old pattern got triggered, some trauma, micro trauma, and then like it got kind of acted out, but in a little more conscious way than me like grabbing her or fighting some guy on the street. And then like it's the emotional cycle played out the way it needed to.
Yeah,
and then
that happened many times, actually.
Many times, yeah. And I would say it still happens, but I feel like there's a little more skillfulness than early on now, as with how to kind of work with those, those movements.
Well, and I think it's important to mention the context that we agreed to was we are going to stay committed to this process, whatever it is, even if that means we don't end up together. And so there was no commitment at this point for marriage or engagement. So it was just trusting that, hey, let's commit to working through this, whatever we have, this tension and if it ends up we're apart, then so be it. But that was kind of the container that held me to just sit with it, because I'm like, hey, I need to feel whatever this is and deal with this. It's not going to go away.
That's a great point. And I think, like, as you say that, the biggest shift that happened in our relationship, and I think it was post-cheating, is when, in a way, I feel like a lot of what I see you teaching in school, Jayson, at least like the bits and pieces I pick up from Leahnora, is like this sense of taking full responsibility for ourselves and our happiness. And I think there was a point where we both decided, like, we love each other so much, no question. Will we be together? We don't know. Like, there's a lot of rocky shit going on, but like we both were like, we're better in this if we're using each other to support kind of the sovereignty, authenticity, and healing of each of us as individuals. And as we kind of moved more into that, instead of the just project others the problem, like that, I feel like has had so much both personal growth for both of us, but also our we has kind of come underneath, like it's come more into the like forefront, and we just, it feels like the we feels more solid, there's more fluidity, it's more trustable. And so I think that shift was like a game changer and continues to be for being together. And
yeah, that's an example of a couple who, once you start to take responsibility and move into that mindset, right, it changes it.
Totally.
Yep. And you've gotten stronger there. That's really cool. Inspiring. Nice. Okay. I like it. Feels good, guys. And just before we dive into the current situation around your sexuality, give the listener a sense of an agreement or a part of your vows or one of your commitments. You sort of just laid one down. Is there another one that you feel like is an anchor point for your relationship now that you're married?
Yeah, so actually we wrote in our vows that if one of us wants out, um, we're not allowed to leave the relationship unless we both are very sure and solid, coming from a place of like our true nature, that it's time to split. But if I'm like, I'm done, I'm leaving you, he's going to stay with me, and we're going to commit to working through whatever that issue is, even if that means we end up apart. But we're committed to going through the process till we're both very 100% sure that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, great. And now I can hear some people going, yeah, but isn't that just kind of, aren't you just leaving an exit door or an escape hatch there? What would you say to that person?
I'm curious, like, if that just where that, because I don't totally understand like that being an escape hatch.
Because we have an out.
Oh,
Because there's an out, you know?
No, that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, it's hard for me to like put tangible words to what I feel like in a way has to me been the most powerful kind of support of our relationship. But it's like, I feel like on some level, it's like whatever you want to call it, a higher power, God, love. And I feel like on some level, there's no way I can possibly know what love has in store for both of our lives, but I trust the impeccability and intelligence of love, that if I'm truly connected to it, and like Leahnora is saying, like if we're both so clear and settled in ourselves that like we're both coming from love and there's just not a harmony in our that to me, like I just, in my experience in my body, like I feel like that's trustable.
Yeah.
And so I respect the safety hatch piece. And I think it's important for us to look at that and make sure that there isn't any kind of, release valve or safety
Out.
Yeah. Because I think that's so important, is to not have those doors that we can kind of use as little escapes.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like that. It feels more like if we get to that place, it's not going to feel like an escape. It's going to just feel like living according to our alignment with what life wants. So it seems like it would be a good thing if we got to that point. It wouldn't feel the same as him leaving me when, he's upset. It's just a different flavor. So
yeah. Well, the sort of, you have this like asterisk on that, which is we're going to clean up and work through whatever's challenging, whether we stay together or not. Right.
Yeah.
That's a great way to like consolidate.
It's like, your commitment is to like, I'm going to work through my side. You're going to work through your side. We're going to work through this. And it might end up that we're not together anymore, but because so many people leave before that working through, right?
Yeah. So that's what we're committed to, is the work through.
Yeah. And I have one of my close friends, I feel like, went through a divorce, and even though on the other end, I'm watching, it seems like he's in a really, really good place. I feel like that somehow that happened with them, just from my perception, like that there was a lot of charge in the field between them. And instead of finding kind of a way to stay with that, even if they needed to take space or separate, like it feels like, loose ends can be left. Like you're saying that, I'm committed to not doing that.
Yeah. You don't want to carry that into the next relationship.
And with that, I feel like we both want to be together more. It's like we feel better together. Like it actually makes our relationship feel better. So like it seems like an impossible thing, but we also are aware that stuff comes up and life might happen.
Did you notice how that impacted him right there? Sweet moment. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Cool. Well, we got a little bit of time left. I'd love to see if there's anything I can do, questions you have for me, if there's something I can do for you guys, just by way of offering one little tweak maybe or something to your sex life or just your relationship.
Yeah, totally. I think this kind of part we're in around sexuality, that your feedback and perspective and any, tips or guidance that you have would be really appreciated.
Cool.
Yeah, because we talk about it, but when the moment happens, we kind of lose that perspective.
Well, maybe we share the pattern that happened the other night, because recently we just had a process that I feel like we worked through pretty good on the whole, but it's definitely at the leading edge of where we're at around our, sexual relating and communication. And so if you're open to giving you a little kind of, synopsis of what happened, and then if you have any tips for maybe how we can approach it more consciously or moving forward.
Yeah, great.
Sure.
Yeah, so like Leahnora said it, I tend to notice that I'm more just turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, maybe part of that is just like kind of opening some of the conditioned patterns that, are common for men. Maybe it's, who knows why, but, I'm actually working with a coach that's kind of giving me some guidance around my own relationship to sexuality. And so all that said, like I wanted to be intimate with her, and we kind of set a date, and we get in bed, and, this is kind of edgy, but
monitor yourselves, whatever you want to share. I'm wide open here.
Well, I mean, for your audience, I think it's fair. I mean, it's honest. So, I feel like it's good to share it. So one of the things we're doing, I have my patterns around pornography, and for many years I've been working through like how to not be kind of run by that in how I relate to sexuality and sexual energy and objectify women. So I think on a cognitive level and even experientially, there's a lot of space that's opened up around that. That said, we recently have introduced, like, instead of me kind of keeping that as a secret thing, we were exploring doing it together, like watching erotic stuff.
Yeah.
And so shows me something that turns her on. And then
it's very different than what turns him on.
Yeah.
And I had some judgment towards him for judging the kind of porn that I like.
Okay.
And so I felt like she was making me, like there was something wrong with me, because I think she was opening up, sharing what she kind of turns her on. And it felt to me like I wasn't enough somehow or something. And I kind of shut down, and I tried to stay present with it, and just breathe. And I told her I need just a moment. And then, and I'll add, I had an expectation it was going to go very different this night.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty key.
Yeah. And so then, I just kind of lost it. Like, she's like, I can never open up to you and see why, and some of it's true. Like, when she shares her impact, or I can shut down, and that's exactly what happened. And then I got mad and kind of swatted the trash can in the room across the room and stormed out. And so I was, that wasn't the ideal way that I wanted to handle it. And I think we were both longing for connection.
And I went and slept on the couch because I just didn't want to be near him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So is this one of the patterns? Is this that's this little snapshot there?
Yeah.
So are you, Noah, what was it that got you? Do you feel judged? Is that what led to the anger with the waste bin, or?
I think I felt like I wasn't somehow
enough
for her, and especially sexually.
Yeah.
And
I gotta be someone other than me.
Yes.
Well, because I had made a comment. I said, I've been able to be more comfortable around some of these, less socially acceptable sexual things with other men. So I did make that comment.
Got it. And then with the cheating, right? It's like, oh, she's this way and I'm less than, or whatever.
Totally.
Okay.
So
and then
I think it struck a real vulnerable place. And then what was interesting is I don't feel like I totally shut down, but anger was the protection. I just was burning, laying next to her in bed, and I'm yeah, so I was just trying to kind of breathe and let that experience be felt.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you just check in right now and see if shame is there? Shame was there or shame is there below the anger?
I would say without question. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cause that's kind of the juicy one, right? Is shame.
Yeah.
Any guy, especially I can relate here in terms of the not enough thing usually goes to shame. And then we might put anger on top of it, in a nanosecond so that we don't have to be seen in that shameful experience.
That really lands. Yeah. Cause I think in a way, like, just my relationship with sexuality, there's shame there, and then to be like having my wife kind of in a way, like for me to receive her as if she's saying that I'm not enough.
Yeah.
And it being kind of a vulnerable, sensitive area was just like, boom, like a shame bomb going off,
Yeah.
Not what I meant. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted to share that I was feeling shame.
Wait. Let's just do this right here. So instead of saying that wasn't my intention, just get him first.
I felt like shame, and I felt really kind of inadequate when you said, shared with me that like other guys are like you've been able to be more comfortable with them sexually.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, that you would be feeling shame if I said there was other men that I could be more sexually comfortable with. I mean, I would probably feel upset too.
And keep going, Leahnora. Good. Just one more layer of how does it make sense to you, given how you know him and his history and what you guys have been through.
Yeah, considering everything that you've been through with your family history and the things I've put you through. Yeah, I would kind of be surprised if you weren't feeling some of that shame. So I'm just feeling grateful that you shared that with me. So I feel closer knowing that you can feel comfortable enough to actually share that with me.
Okay, so Noah, you're just kind of breathing, and then notice if that has an impact on you, and let her know. And if you let down fully or not really, or just kind of let her know where you're at.
Yeah, I notice I feel a sense of being seen. I feel seen by you, and almost in a way like all the way back through the thread of like the cheating and stuff. So it's really in a way kind of healing today to like talk about the arc of our relationship and then this piece being now discussed, because it's and I feel like a sense of more trust for you.
Yeah, because you're seeing the arc of our relationship and how it links back to the cheating that went on years ago, and there might have still been a little bit left, and so by exposing that, there's more trust and openness. So.
Yeah, I feel closer to you, and and it feels less scary somehow, or less bad or wrong for me to feel that insecurity that I was feeling the other night.
So there's more of an okayness, like a relief or a natural opening towards me now.
Yeah, I like you more for sure.
All right. So notice what we just did there, right? It's a very small tweak, but if we stay in the anger, we describe it as anger, right? You don't let your guard down, right, Noah?
Yep.
She doesn't understand. And we're kind of in this thing, but we just took it a layer deeper around the vulnerability, right?
That's so helpful. What I'm curious about though is like if I project back to that experience,
yep,
I feel like she wanted to be seen, and so I was trying to really take her in as she was sharing with me, and then I got pinged, and so then it's kind of like there's a part of me that feels like off somehow if I go into a deeper process when like she was wanting to be held, you know what I mean?
That's actually
Totally.
our main issue.
Yep. Yeah. I hear you, man. Yeah. And so you did sort of some noble move, right? Around, oh, I'll just stuff my anger and shame and try to be there for her, even though I'm activated and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which actually is really important to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of just have to suck it up on your own side for a little bit until you can help the other person. And then once they're helped, once you've sort of supported them through their shame spiral or whatever, then it's like, okay, honey, can you now be there for me? Because I got something going on over here.
Cool.
Right. So it's not a, you get served and helped and I don't, I have to bury my shame or something. It's, we're going to get to you, but I just happen to be the more struggly one right now.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we both seem to get triggered around the same time. And then so
Yeah.
who gets the floor?
Yeah, exactly. And sex is a big one where a couple will get triggered in the bedroom and it's like both people shut down or they go into shame or something happens. And then it's like, who can help the other person when we want to now sleep in other rooms
Yeah.
or on opposite
And,
sides.
and in that scenario, Jayson, let's hypothetically say that she's pinged and I'm pinged and we're both like, charged and really don't have space to connect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there kind of a way to bookmark things, or, I mean, what would be your
Absolutely.
suggestion there?
Yeah. I mean, you have the, the teachings from Reggie around sitting with your experience. So this is where the benefit of having a self-regulation practice can be helpful. It's right. My partner actually can't be there for me right now. I need to be there for me.
Yeah.
I got hurt little Noah in here and I got to be a dad to him, whether I want to or not. So I need to go take care of myself and go on a walk, go sit on the cushion, go journal, whatever I can to like make contact with this part of me that's feeling bad, ashamed, embarrassed, so that I can like be with that experience and let it move through me. And then I'm back in my body again, back in my heart, having felt some tears or anger or whatever I need to move through it. And then I'm like, now I'm a little more stable and resourced to come back to my partner.
Well, and that's actually what happened, because I needed that space that night. Like, sometimes my process is not over in an hour. Like, I needed the whole night to kind of be with myself. And then the next night, I actually initiated sex, and it was probably one of our best ever.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a different level that we could meet each other, because I had shared with him something I was hiding, and then I felt like I couldn't open. And when he heard me, because he did spend time listening to me around that after.
We kind of processed some the next morning.
Yeah.
And I think that helped, like, to kind of, I could get her then, and not from that place of little Noah being in the shame, anger spiral,
Yeah.
And I think that seemed to open some space to where we were able to really meet each other sexually in a way that was much kind of had a freshness and an aliveness that felt really good for both of us.
Nice. And a few minutes ago, Leahnora, you said before I interrupted, you were saying you felt some shame. Was that what you guys worked through the next morning? Was your shame?
Yeah. Well, both of ours, actually. We kind of took a while to work through both of them, but I was feeling shame around my own sexuality and my preferences, and afraid that I wasn't enough, that I don't, look like a woman that's got it all, or can't perform in the bedroom in this sexy way. And so I was really feeling insecure.
Yeah.
And it came out the way that was not how I intended it to, but I was able to explain where I was coming from, that it wasn't about him, it was about my own relationship to myself around my sexuality.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So you guys just got one other layer, it sounds like, just now, right? So will you just say what that is? So you as a way to integrate whatever, because you guys worked through something the next day, you made love the next night, and then now you're coming here and there's maybe some leftover, maybe not, but I'm hearing there was some new awareness here. So what are you getting right now that could help you moving forward?
Well, for me, I think having you in a way, like, be present with us, just in around this area, is almost like the kind of, some of the shame cloud could kind of even had more space to just air itself out.
Yeah.
And then I felt like the practice of her really receiving me and reflecting back how she actually received me, because I felt like I said, I feel seen, and I did feel seen, but for her to explain like why she could see me, that like felt like it really lifted, or I just felt more seen, and it felt like a deeper shared understanding. So that's cool. I really liked how you kind of invited that question to go a little deeper.
Yeah, cool. Okay, Leahnora?
Yeah, having the third party, like being seen by you and kind of just talking about it when we're not triggered,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to find out actually what was really triggering me, rather than just saying, oh, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. This is what's going on. Kind of analyzing
Yeah,
this
there you go.
connection
Mm-hmm.
where I was actually meeting you, and
Mm-hmm.
and then I felt myself getting touched and seeing you being touched. It felt really much more connected rather than this theoretical.
Yeah, great. Cool. Exactly. So to bottom line it, go vulnerable, right, Noah? And Leahnora, when you go into that wasn't my intention, before, it's fine to say, but before that, you want to really truly get him in his vulnerability.
Yeah. And I couldn't do that at the time when I was.
Yeah. So you do it the next day. You do it 4 hours later. You do it as soon as you can. So there's like, that's part of the repair.
That's cool.
That's helpful.
No, because I'm actually almost getting this, like, seeing how that pattern of not going vulnerable, and also like often I think I witness us both go like, well, that wasn't my intent, when one of us shares impact, jumping to that instead of actually getting each other, you know?
Yeah. When we go too fast with that wasn't my intent, we're defending. It's a justification defense response, and it's not going to usually help the nervous system settle. So
that's very helpful. That's so true.
It's so true.
yeah, awesome. All right. Well, we got to stop just because it's top of the hour here. And I'm really grateful for both of your time and hearts and just tons of vulnerability and truth here around your own journey. And it's been really enlightening. And I know it's going to serve other people. I'm excited to share it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jayson. I'm, happy to get a chance to connect with you and share our journey, and also, the work that you're doing. I know it's having a tremendous impact on my life. And so, thank you for what you offer, man.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Thanks for doing the work, guys.
Yeah, I'm just so glad you got to meet him. I was hoping he would come to one of the live weekends, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So
one day, right, Noah? Maybe?
Absolutely. Well, when I first saw your work, like I said a few years ago, I was really touched by the men's work that you've done and shared with the community, and now the relational stuff. I just feel like it's having such a big impact on my life, redefining what it means to be a man and how to bring more love into the world. And so I feel like you're a great leader in that, and so it's awesome to see other men really leading the charge.
Cool. Thanks. And thanks for introducing your woman to me and his work.
it's pretty cool. It usually doesn't work like that.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, guys. Thanks.
All right.
Bye. Thanks, Jayson.
Yep. Take care, guys. Okay. Powerful story. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Noah and Leahnora, for your tremendous courage and vulnerability in bringing it to the listeners of the Smart Couple podcast. It really serves. So deep thanks for, just going for it here. I felt really served by listening as well. So action step, remember the part near the end where we talk about that wasn't my intention? My friend Decker called me on that in a loving way years ago when I had someone really angry at me, and I said, oh, that wasn't my intention. And he's like, well, how about instead of doing that, just explore them more? So if someone's calling you an asshole, instead of saying, oh, it wasn't my intention, you say, tell me all the ways in which I'm being an asshole. Tell me more. I want to know. I'm so curious. And lean in before you say something like that wasn't my intention. And there's that wasn't my intention sometimes is a defensive quick response. We want to hurry up and make it better, and it's understandable, but slow it down one notch and explore their complaint more. Explore what they're trying to tell you more, right? And if you want to learn how to do that better, obviously come to the relationship school. Okay, that's your action step. And Noah and Leahnora, if you feel inspired to reach out to them. We'll include their emails in the show notes if they're open to that. And if you don't see them, that means they're feeling not open to that. If you see their emails in the show notes, then they're open to being contacted by you. Okay? Whew. All right. We'll see you in the school, guys. We're coming up on 2018. And if you don't have a plan for your relationship life, I can tell you right now, it's okay, but you're going to resort to your default coping mechanisms. When you're upset and emotional, you'll go right back to that rut in your brain with the same old defensiveness or justifications or blame or shutting down or getting silent or getting aggressive. Whatever your style is, when you don't have a plan and you don't learn how to do it differently, you won't. So that's why we are fiercely committed here at the school to teaching people how to do this well, because it's hard. It's really hard. Long-term relationships specifically. So if you want the tools, come study with us. All right. Our early bird price is going up on right around the solstice. Okay. The 19th, I think. And you can find out more at relationshipschool.net/DPIR. You also can join our free web series in December, relationshipschool.net/New Year, because we are going to start the year in a new way in how we do relationships. Okay, so at the very least, come to these free classes and consider investing in yourself in 2018. You can't get a good relationship if you don't invest. All right, time, money, and energy. Okay, guys, thanks. Take care, and we'll talk soon.